Well, not once did the Eternals fight Howard the Duck, so movie ruined.
I did what I had to do to protect our world.
Doctor Strange is protecting a kid named America, and surprisingly does a decent American accent as well in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Or should I say, Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because by God, it makes it clear it's a Sam Raimi movie. So this is, tell me if you've heard this one, another movie where I have to review it in two ways. And I know I do that a lot, but man, you'll see why, especially in this one. I first have to review it as a movie critic. This movie is a lot of fun. It gives you pretty much what you're looking for in a Marvel, Doctor Strange, Sam Raimi movie. For anyone who wants to know my thoughts on the first Doctor Strange, I enjoy it. I think I like the visuals most of all. The actual ideas were good, but not great. For something about bending reality in different dimensions and leaving your body, I kind of expected a little bit more. Honestly, what I expected was this film. This throws some really fun, crazy comic book ideas out there. My personal favorite one is that, did you know that when you go to sleep, your dreams aren't just your mind processing stuff, your subconscious knows nothing about that. It's actually stuff going on in a parallel universe. That is my jam. That is stuff I absolutely love, and I love seeing explored in a movie like this.
You cannot control everything, Strange.
There's sadly no dimension where you're in a good ending of this. There's a kid whose name is America, and she's the only person who can jump parallel dimensions, and there's not a version of her in other dimensions. She's literally one of a kind. And you have Doctor Strange, who can bend reality and, yes, sometimes go into other worlds, trying to protect her from all sorts of evil forces and other dimensions that are trying to get her. And the good things are what you would expect the good things are. Visually, this is incredibly pleasing. This is very much what you would imagine Sam Raimi taking on an MCU movie would be like. Sam Raimi has worked with Disney before on that Oz the Great and Powerful movie, and some chunks worked, but for the most part I didn't feel like it really followed through. I don't know if that was Sam Raimi's fault or Disney's fault, but this really feels like a film where they said, okay, just hit these bullet points, but do whatever you want apart from that. Get the crazy angles you want. Get the weird camera tricks you enjoy. Have it iris out for no reason, even though there's no other scene where it does that.
You opened the doorway between universes. We don't know who or what will walk through it.
We just know who won't be walking through it. It also gets super Sam Raimi PG-13 horror film, but I mean that as a good thing because it isn't like Uncharted PG-13 where they say a few bad words. This is Drag Me to Hell PG-13 where you're pretty much like, that's an R, you're just replacing the red liquid with a different color liquid, but everything else is clearly an R, and I dig it. I have a lot of fun with it. But as a film critic, I have to point out the areas where the film does come up a little short. Some of it is around the characters, and there's no characters in this I can think of that are bad characters. They do try to really analyze them, and they try to figure out what makes them tick and what their wants are and likes and dislikes and so forth, but some of them kind of get forgotten.
Things just got out of hand.
Oh my God, you're barely in the movie. The America character is a big part at the beginning, but it got to a point where I kind of forgot she was even in the movie. And the whole focus is around her, but in the last third, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like the thing, right? We're supposed to save her and make sure nothing bad happens to her. The villain in the movie, which I won't give away just in case you don't know who the villain is, but it is very familiar. You've seen this villain go through the turmoils and challenges and dilemmas that this character has gone through before, to a point where you say, didn't this character already learn this? But in my opinion, it's done in a more interesting and kind of twisted way, so it didn't bother me that much.
You break the rules and become a hero. I do it, I become the enemy. It doesn't seem fair.
Well, when he breaks the rules, there's actual funny writing with it too. But there are times where suddenly you'll get sidetracked as well. There's a scene where Doctor Strange talks to, I guess, an evil version of himself, and the only thing I can think of is this must have been something from another show. I thought I heard he was from the What If series, and they focus a little too long on him. It's also the only part where his British accent starts to come out a little bit more. This actually was a good American accent for the most part. It's only there where it starts to come through, and you're there for a good while, and it's something where I kept saying to myself, this is interesting, but this doesn't feel like it belongs in this movie, or at least at this moment. It's like in the middle of the climax and everything just kind of comes to a halt. There's some moments like that where once in a while it just feels a little off. It starts to drag just a little bit, and sometimes the focus shifts to where it shouldn't. Even in a movie called The Multiverse of Madness, the madness is definitely there. There aren't that many parallel universes. When I really thought about it, there's only like a couple that they go into, and they really only spend time in one or two, like a good amount of time. But they are interesting universes if you are a fan of the MCU or Marvel Comics. So overall, I do think it's a good movie. There's so many good things in it, I can't help but say definitely go check it out. Alright, so that's film critic me talking, but honestly, I really think we need Parallel Dimension Doug, who's just a die-hard Marvel, MCU, and Sam Raimi fan, to give his thoughts on this. Alright, don't listen to shit what that asshole said. This movie's amazing! This is a film that makes me excited for MCU movies again. I know you can point to Spider-Man, No Way Home, and I get that, and yes, that is an MCU movie, even Doctor Strange is in it, but that's a Spider-Man movie first. It's very much in the Spider-Man universe. You got Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Yes, it's in the MCU lineup, but it's very much Spider-Man first. This is definitely an MCU movie, and it has fun with it. It gives you so many characters, so many cameos, so many other versions of characters from other Marvel properties that open so many possibilities, and every single time one showed up, the audience squealed and erupted and applauded, and I was right there with them. I was having so much fun, and anytime some weird-ass Sam Raimi shit was going on, the audience was losing its mind. This is literally a climax with a zombie Doctor Strange surrounded by black angel devil demons that are all trying to grab him and say, "We're gonna swallow your soul, swallow your soul." Who wouldn't love that if you're going to see a movie called Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
We should tell him the truth.
People are going to be talking more about the cameos than anything involving him. I should also say I saw this on IMAX. It is worth seeing on IMAX. This is a wonderful big screen movie, and what I really like is that I saw the first Doctor Strange on IMAX as well, and it was also fantastic to see, but it's a different visual style. They definitely incorporate a lot of the cool backgrounds that are kind of like imploding in on themselves. There's a lot of that stuff, but then you also have those great Sam Raimi shots where everything's Dutch angled or it's circling around, or these great montages like when Peter Parker is trying to buy a car or design his suit. Except it's done here, and I never realized how great that would look on IMAX. There's so many things that make me realize Sam Raimi does kind of belong on a screen this big, because there's so much he can do with it when he's given that freedom. Probably the biggest Scream moment of mine wasn't even like the appearance of a character, it was the music they played when a certain character appeared. I don't want to give it away, but when you hear just a little snippet of a certain theme, you're gonna know what I was squeeing at.
What do you know about the multiverse?
He believed it was dangerous.
Well, only if you're Bruce Campbell. Of course he gets the shit beaten out of him in this. So okay, the film critic in me wants to give it 3 stars. The Marvel Sam Raimi geek in me wants to give it 4 stars. Let's give it 3.5 out of 4 third eyes, which I guess would be 10.5. With all that said, what did you think? Did you feel like this really came through with what you expected to see with Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? Or did you feel like it just went too crazy? Maybe Sam Raimi should have calmed down and toned back, and maybe there should have been more focus on just being focused? Or again, are you somewhere in between? Do you feel like the style was fun, but maybe it could have been something different? Maybe you could push the envelope a little bit more? I'd love to know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Take care.